So this is 44.5 inches cut, so that you have the extra 1.5 inches for that turn. But you would always start out with a bit longer so that you can get your strap cutter on to cut these splits. When you mark up, you want at least 1 inch or so before you start your split, right? So that you can get the strap cutter on neatly. So you would draw a square end there, and this is your point end. Then you would mark 8 inches to the top of this hole. If you go past that hole, you're making your split too long. Then, from the very top of this hole, you would mark 12 inches to the top of your other hole, which is your other split. From there, you would draw 1/2 inch with your compasses all the way down the rest of the hide. And that way, when you come to cut this strap, you end up with a nice, in this case, 3/4 strap that you can use for other things such as a brow band. You would put on you would cut then your splits up to these holes after punching them. So 8 inches, 12 onwards. So punch those 2 holes, the strap cut, turning it over so you can do, if you go for 1/2 inch on your strap cutter, you'll be cutting this side from the flesh and this side from the grain. Once you've done that, you would then cut this end. You'd cut to length at 8 inches from the top of this hole. So you have your point end. You can then cut this bit, making sure you do not cut your throat lash. So this is also 8 inches to match this side. Once you've done that, you can start putting your bridle points in. So you'd want strap width, so in this case it's 3/4, plus a 1/16 to an 1/8, just so it elongates the point and makes it look a bit more elegant. Once you've done that, you can nick your corners.
And all 3 bridle points are the same dimensions?
So even on this 1/2 inch strap, this is 3/4 plus a 1/16. You do not touch your throat lash at any point during this. Once you cut your bridle points, then you can touch your throat lash and cut this so that you've got 44.5 overall length, and that makes that come up to 24.5 inches. Should do. Just check that. Yep, 24.5 inches. If you don't have 24.5 inches, panic. So we now have 44.5 overall. You can then mark 3 inches so that you know where to edge up to. This is the inside of the turn. We're going to do a reverse turn, so the flesh will be on the outside eventually. So you want to edge up to the 3 inches on the grain. Once you've done that, you can edge everything. And when it comes to these corners in the middle of your splits, part the splits on the edge of your workbench and make sure you get right up into the corner. Once you've done that, you can think about stitch marking. You do this before you skive, but before that you want to put your crew punch in. So marking from the flesh, you would measure 1.5 inches to the centre of your crew punch. Ideally you can line it up with your compass, draw a line either side. So you'd have 2 lines there, and then you would punch as straight as you can at 1.5 inches to the centre. Fold that. You'd have your buckle in situ, and make sure you fold that crew exactly in half. Once you've done that, mark where your stitches will go. You want to be exactly in line with the bottom of your turn for this last stitch. And this one should be quite close up to the buckle. After you've stitch marked, you can then skive from in line with the second stitch, but on the tab. You want to skive on the inside of your turn so that it becomes hidden. After that, you can crease and polish. creasing helps you to line up your punched holes. When you punch your holes, you're going to measure 2 inches from the end on these. So on this headpiece it's 2 inches up, and then it's 3/4 apart to match strap width. This also applies to your throat lash strap with the 3/4. So you would go 2 inches up, 2 inches up, and also 2 inches up. You want to mark each hole as carefully as you can, and then centralise them with your compass. Punch them, and then if they're straight on both sides, you'll find that you can actually see through.
And when you punch the holes in the top of the split, you use the smallest hole on the hole punch, and when you do the buckle holes, you're using the next one up from smallest, is that right? 2.5 millimeter.
You would use the one that fits your buckle tongue best.
Right, okay.
In this situation, it would be the one to fit the 3/4 strap buckle. And you want them to all match. So even on this 1/2 inch strap, you would use the same holes that you use on this one.
Bigger one.
In this instance, it is the 2.5 mil hole.
Right. So we don't actually use our buckle to work out the buckle that's going on this item. We use a 2.5 mil hole because we know that that's what the rest of the headpiece buckle would fit, as it were.
I can get you a buckle.
No, I'm just saying that's the test is not to use the buckle we're stitching in to see if it'll fit.
The buckle that you'll have in this
is too small.
Yeah. Well, because we're punching for this buckle as opposed to this buckle. Yeah. You have extra room in these holes.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
It has to match uniform between these because it looks better.
Right.
You want to buy a product that has uniformity throughout. So once you've punched your holes, you've creased, you've polished, you can then stitch. But before you stitch your buckle on, you want to put your running loop on and make sure you've got your fixed loop in. Then all you have to do is once you've tacked you would tack your fixed loop in and you'd have your running loop, you'd have your buckle in, stitch. And then once you've stitched, square your loop, your fixed loop, your running loop should already be squared. Stitch, tuck your threads away, give it a last polish on these edges so that it folds in and is sealed neatly. Shine up everything else and you're completed.
Okay, and stitching the buckle in, you start at one of the buckle ends,
You'll start in your second stitch mark. So I'm right-handed, so I would start in this one. And then I would go back one stitch and then go over the edge. So that closes around here. It's between the buckle over this edge, where the buckle would be coming out of here, and then I would have my loop between the first and the second stitch mark, right butt up to that first stitch mark. Once I've done my over the edge and my starting there, back, over the edge, and then go along. At the end, I would do 1.5 back stitch, which means I'd come back one entire stitch for one back stitch, and then I want to have both threads coming out on this side, so I would then do half stitch from this side through to this side. I would then cross over, coming out in the exact same holes on this side, so it would be 2 and 3. So I've got straight across, 1.5 back stitch again. So then I would go from 3 to 2, so I have thread either side, over the edge, over the end, and then I continue stitching along like normal. When I get to the end, another stitch over the edge, and then 1.5 back stitch, which will hopefully come out inside the loop. You can cut the threads and then neatly tuck them away.
Great.
And then that's done.
Thank you.